This one's telephoto on both cameras. This one's telephoto on both cameras. This one's telephoto on both cameras. Alright, so I've arrived at my destination, which means that I'm going to switch from using my main camera to exclusively using my iPhones, the 14 Pro Max and 12 Pro Max. And the reason being is because I only have two hands, so I only have two hands for two cameras. So, like I said, I don't know. I don't know why I ramble like this. Anyways, I guess I should just get out here. All right, so for the first quick test, the most terrible, worst one, I guess, would be front-facing cameras on both. So I guess tell me what you think. It looks like the 12 Pro Max is very underexposed. I can't really see myself very well, but on the 14 Pro Max, I can see myself well, but it is so grainy. There is so much noise. But this is inside the car with like pretty much no lighting. There's a little bit of lighting from some street lights that are kind of bleeding into the car, but not much. So let's get outside. I'll test the front-facing camera for just a little bit longer, but it is the worst camera on the phone, so it won't be long. This will be a short test for this camera. All right, front-facing camera test once again. Out of my car, pretty much right underneath the street light. Tell me what you think of the quality. I definitely feel like the 14 Pro Max is quite a bit better in low light. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, that's gonna be the quick and dirty of the front-facing camera. Low light, underneath some street lights. I feel like you could definitely see more clarity, more detail with the 14 Pro Max. So yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, gonna switch to the rear cameras now. All right, now we're on the rear cameras. Now, one interesting to note is that the 14 Pro Max, its main shooter is at 24 millimeters and the 12 Pro Max is at 26 millimeters. So hopefully the 14 Pro Max, you're getting a little bit wider field of view of what's going on, which will make it a little bit nicer for vloggers that want to use their phone cameras. So tell me what you think about it. I mean, pretty low light, got a little bit of stuff going on behind me, and I think I'm going to do two different videos. So this first video will be just me talking about it, showing what the cameras are like, and then I'm going to release a second video of just the phone camera videos by themselves, because I started off with using my Canon camera and it's not HDR, so it won't get really the full effect of what these cameras are like. So I'm gonna stand pretty much like right underneath this light real quick, see what it's like in somewhat decent light. Keep going. I'm away from the light. Now, another thing I want to mention is that the 14 Pro Max is supposed to have a lower aperture than the 12 Pro Max. So one thing I want to mention is that the 14 Pro Max, I'm pretty sure, has a lower aperture than the 12 Pro Max. So hopefully we're getting better light. Plus they got Apple's like special processing that's supposed to make low light even better with the 14 Pro Max. So tell me what you think. It's a low light situation. Got a little bit of light, not too much. Pretty soon I'm going to be in like almost direct light of the street light. So tell me what you think. I'm also curious about the stabilization versus these two, between these two. My arms are not very steady. Already getting tired. So tell me what you think. I'm gonna face the light, face towards the light. I'm pretty sure the lens flare is still pretty bad. So yeah. All right, now switch to the ultra wide. See how that looks. Now, the 12 Pro Max is supposed to have like a 2.0 aperture lens, and I believe the 14 Pro Max is 2.2. So you would think, based off of the f-stop alone, that the 14 Pro Max would be quite a bit worse. Well, not quite a bit, but a bit worse than the 12 Pro Max when it comes to low light because of that aperture difference. But Apple says that they're post-processing whatever's for the 14 Pro Max. Supposed to make it really good at low light with the ultra wide camera. So they're both at 13 millimeters equivalents. Tell me what you think. Been under a little bit of light here and there. Nothing too great. And tell me what the stabilization is like, because I believe the 12 Pro Max doesn't have much stabilization with the ultra wide, but 14 Pro Max I think does, so I guess we'll see what it looks like. We're going to be like right underneath the street light. It's not a very bright one, but got a little bit of light. Tell me what you think. So I also just kind of realized that I was shooting at 60 frames a second, so I dropped it down to 24. Hopefully that gives me a little bit better low light. I'm standing underneath the street light. Tell me what it looks like. Okay, walking away from the light. Gonna get a little bit darker. Hopefully it still looks okay. From when I looked at with the 60 frames per second part, the 14 Pro Max was quite a bit better than the 12 Pro Max in low light. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Even with a slower camera, still way better. So I guess that processing that Apple's doing is pretty good. So I made a bit of an oopsie. I thought that the last clip was in the ultra wide, but it was not. It was on the main shooter, but now it's on the ultra wide. 24 frames a second, low light. Tell me what you think. Still thinking that the 14 Pro Max is going to be quite a bit better than the 12 Pro Max from kind of the previews of what I was seeing. Man, my arms are getting tired. And I have a kind of pretty dim street light. It's a bit of flashing light right here. I'm sure that's going to be great. Tell me what you think. Alright, so now I'm trying a little ProRes just to see what it's like, see what all the hubbub is about. Tell me what you think, especially in this low light condition. This is using the main cameras on both. So 26 millimeters on the 12 Pro Max, 24 on the 14 Pro Max, 24 frames a second. See, this looks alright. Get into a more well-lit area. Probably looking weird in front of people, just holding two phones in front of me, talking to them. So I guess we'll see what it looks like. I just realized, looking at the back of these phones, the 14 Pro Max's flash looks like it's quite a bit bigger than the 12 Pro Max's flash. So that's interesting. And obviously the cameras on the 14 Pro Max are quite a bit larger than the 12 Pro Max. So yeah, tell me what the ProRes looks like. Hopefully I'll be able to edit it okay. Alright, so I'm trying the cinematic mode on the 14 Pro Max just to see what it looks like in low light. It's telling me before I start recording that it needs more light, so hopefully this little bit of light source is useful. But tell me what you think. I personally don't really like the cinematic mode on the new iPhones. I don't think they do a very good job, especially not compared to a dedicated camera. Like even my Canon M50 with the Sigma lens, I think does a much better job with cinematic kind of stuff. Does better with the bokeh and whatnot. So tell me what you think. It's still low light, but right underneath the light, so I'm going to walk away from it, see if it still works or not. I think it would be helpful if Apple used the LiDAR for the cinematic mode on the iPhones to get better bokeh, but you know, what am I to know? So that's cinematic. Tell me what you think, if it even works. Alright, so back on the 14 Pro Max, tell me what you thought about that video. I did a combination of low light and not as low light. So like garage light and whatever lights I could find out and about. So tell me what you think. I think that for sure, if you want to upgrade to the 14 Pro Max, just from what I kind of saw, from the 12 Pro Max to the 14 Pro Max is definitely worth it. And I literally just listened to the V8 M3 drive off, and my God, does it sound good. I really want one. I mean, I do, but I know that the V8 ones aren't very reliable. But man, does it look good and sound good. But they're not reliable and expensive to maintain. But man, does it look good and sound good. The trials and tribulations of a poor person. Anyways, tell me what you think about the videos so far. I'm going to go home, start editing the videos, see what I think about them, and I guess give my final verdict. But from the preview of what I was looking at while I was doing this stuff out and about, I really do think that this 14 Pro Max camera upgrade is worth the upgrade from the 12 Pro Max to the 14 Pro Max alone. That's not even to mention like all the extra features and stuff like ProRes and cinematic mode that you can do with the new 14 Pro Max, which you could do with the 13 Pro Max, but I'm specifically talking about upgrading from the 12 Pro Max to the 14 Pro Max. Man, these names are so bad. Anyways, just off the preview, it's worth it. Let's get home and start doing some editing.